Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to add in audio into Call of Duty World at War and make a multi-trigger Easter egg. So, first things first, we're going to want to have a map, right? So, we're going to need the map. So make sure you have a map set up. Obviously, I'd hope that if you're doing this that you already have a map, and that's why you planned on doing this in the first place, but if not, you need a map. So make a test map, whatever. This is what I did. I just made a test map. Threw my zombies up here so they're, out of the way while I'm testing. Threw my dogs under the map so they just fall completely off the map because I hate those fucking annoying ass things anyway. So anyway, you'll set up some triggers is the first thing you're going to want to do. I've had to redo this video several times because I just didn't like the outcome of it. I wasn't I either went off too far or just didn't explain things properly. So I did a little bit of restructuring and left myself some notes. So this is a little bit easier to follow, I guess. I structured it in an order that I felt like made sense, so we'll go with that. So these are the triggers, and you'll want to give them a target name. So you just, create a trigger, trigger damage or trigger use, it doesn't matter. Trigger use, you're going to need to set up some different things in scripting for it. So just use a trigger damage. That's what I did for this, and that's what the code's oriented around that I'll be sharing. So just set up a trigger damage. Give it a target name. You can name it whatever you want. You can create one and give it a name and just copy it around, or you could do like I did and give one name and one another name and one another name, as you see here. So if you was gonna do a single use egg, a lot of times you'd probably want to give this thing a target name, and then so that's for if you're going to do a single use egg where you're going to plan on deleting the trigger and the object, but you don't have to delete the object. We'll get to that when we get to the scripting. So anyway, set up your map, get your triggers. Like I said, you can name them all the same thing. So you can make a trigger, just give it a name and then copy it around, or you can create a trigger, give it its own individual name, and then copy that around and then change the name for each trigger if you would like. It doesn't matter. Alright, so once you've done that, we're not going to save any changes because I don't need to do that. Once we've done that, you're going to make a folder. So create a folder here. You can name this whatever you want, but if it has say you're going to use two words like I did here, it has to have an underspace in between them, or underscore, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't really matter. Or just run it all together as one long word, because it doesn't agree with spaces. So spaces won't work in this. So once you've created your folder, then we'll open up Audacity. First thing you want to do is make sure that you have it set to output your WAV files 16-bit PCM. This could be signed or unsigned. If anybody tells you it has to be unsigned, just tell them they're full of shit, because it doesn't have to be unsigned. It could be signed or unsigned. I've tested both ways and both ways work. So drag in your audio file then. Okay, and then go to project and change it from stereo to mono, like so, and then export, and then you can just put it, export it to your directory, whatever folder you want to use. Um, you don't have to do it that way. You could just drag it into the folder, but it makes it less work. You don't have to go and take the file and then drag it in. So I've already got tracks converted, and that's not YouTube friendly. So you know, we're not going to use that one. Alright, so now that you've done that, we're going to have to copy this folder around. So we're going to have to go into raw, then down into sound, and then copy and paste your folder. So copy, then paste it in here. I've already got it in here, so I'm not going to do that. And then go back to your directory for Call of Duty World of War, go into mods, find your map, and copy it into here. Once you've done that, you're pretty much set up there. So then we'll move on to the sound alias stuff. So for your sound alias, this is what I did. If you follow another tutorial, they'll probably do it a different way, but you copy and paste this out here. I've already done that for demonstration purposes, but Nazi Zombie Asylum, that's what I use. And then come in here and save this header, and then delete everything down to, let's see, where is it? This point here. And then delete everything after it. And then now this is where you're gonna have to remember the name of your folder. So you're gonna need the name of your song. So for example, we'll use CS. That's one of the files in mine. And then you could delete the rest of this after that comma. And then you'll need the name of your folder, and then / the name of the song, and then .wav or WAV, or however you want to pronounce it, doesn't matter. Also, you can change this from 3D to 2D. That doesn't really matter, but you can do that if you want, because this is acting as a sound effect. If you're just playing multiplayer and you get too close to another player, you might actually hear the sound emanating off the other player, so you might have a little bit of like overlapping audio. I'm not sure, I haven't tested it with co-op or anything, so I can't tell you if that'll happen, but just change it to 2D just in case. Don't mess with anything else though. Just leave everything else the way it is. And then I don't need to save that because I already, once again, have one set up. If it'll open. So then you'll rename this to whatever you want after you've made those changes, and then drag it back into this folder. I've already got mine in here. So after that, then we're going to move on to launcher here. And we're not going to do everything that you would normally do in here, but until the end. So all we're going to worry about right now is adding in the line you need to reference your sound alias. So you come down here, and yours should have this as the last line if you haven't set up any audio at all before. So then you'll hit enter, so you create a new line, and then it'll be sound, comma, the name of your sound alias, comma, and then all /MP. You could also alternatively do all /SP. It doesn't matter. But I recommend doing MP just in case you use your map in co-op or whatever. Because I don't know if it'll work for co-op if you use SP. And then, so over here you'll have the folder that you created earlier will show up. It'll look like this. Nothing will be checked in it, so just check your folder so all of your files are selected. and we'll get back to this here in a little bit. So next you're going to want to go into your Nazi zombie map, and then go into maps, and then open this up, and this is where you're going to start scripting. And I'm going to go over the 3 different methods of scripting the audio Easter egg that I have. One's a very common one. That's where the one I use to learn with. I actually learned that one. I found that script somewhere on the internet. But then I wasn't happy with it, and I wanted to come up with my own method of doing it. So I got 2 other ones I'm going to show you. So we're going to go over here to this folder, and then this is the one that you'll commonly see passed around on the internet, which is you create functions for each object. You basically create a variable, give it the target name, and tell it it's a target name, and then it deletes the trigger, deletes the model, and then adds to the egg count, and if it's greater than or equal to 5, that's just kind of a fail safe. You could do just equals to 5. Then it'll go ahead and thread this function down here for the audio playback. So the only things you'd have to change in this script is the target name to make it match the target name of your trigger, the target name of your model. If you so choose, you could always just comment this out like so on each line, and do the same with the model. If you decide you don't want to set up the model that way, you could just do that, or you could just delete it. It doesn't matter. And the other thing you'd want to change is this to the name of the song that you want to use, that you have placed in that folder. So, like for example, CS. Alright, so that's all you need to do. I'll save that. This script will be available. I'm going to put links in the description so you could download these scripts and just add them in if you want, and just modify them for your use. Second one is order specific. Now this one's got a lot of hand holders in it, so I'm not going to bother explaining too much, but say you named all of your triggers the same thing like I was talking about earlier and just copied them around. Well, this is how you would set that up. You would make your variable, and then instead of get int, it would be get int array, and then the target name you gave the triggers, and then tell it it's looking for that as a target name once again. So same thing. And so for each iteration of this for loop, it's going to wait until you hit the triggers. So it's going to start at 0. So it's going to start in the first slot of the array. So say you hit trigger, from 0, 1, 2. Say you hit trigger 1. Well, it's not going to do anything. You hit trigger 2, it's not going to do anything. You have to hit 0 first. Then you have to hit 1 first, and you'll have to hit 2. So it's basically the same thing. You'll have to make your modifications up here to the target name you gave it. And you'll also have to make the modifications down here to the song that you want it to play. And this one is replayable, so once this is finished playing the song, oh yeah, the other change you'll want to make is the wait time. So you'll want this to be equal to whatever the length of the song is. So what I would do is figure out, say it's like, I don't know, like 1 minute and something. So let's say it's 1 minute and 30 seconds, 1.30. Okay, so that's 78 seconds. So then you would place that in there. So then it waits that long before it resets this to false. And then it'll rethread up here, because if you don't do that, the audio will overlap. So say you set this to just 1 second or something. Well, this is going to become false again after 1 second, and the song's still playing. So then I'll rethread this, and if you go hit the triggers again, then you'll have overlapping audio. You'll have the song playing multiple times. over top of each other. So make sure that you set that as close as possible. Um, it's fairly easy, you know. Um, so again, this script will be available to download. I'll put them in a folder, and you could just download all of them, and you can use whichever one you want. Next is multi-song egg. This one's also replayable. So here's an example of giving them individual target names. This is how you'd set that up. You could also do the same thing I did here and just give it a single target name and do get int array instead of get int, and it'll work just fine because of the way this works. So each function that's handling a trigger is being set equal to the first slot in the array for 1, the second slot in the array for 2. So if they have the same target name, it won't matter, it'll still work. And then in this one there's a little difference. This one plays a sound effect after you've hit the trigger, so you'll want to change this to whatever sound effect you want, comment the line out, delete it, whatever. Then down here for the multi-song egg, this is based on which trigger you hit last now. So if you hit them, you know, 1, 2, 3, then it's going to play which is going to equal 2. So then it's going to come down here and do case 2. So just make sure, once again, you change the name of your song to the song that you converted and added to your folder. Change the length in seconds to, you know, with this minutes to seconds. Find out how long the song is and convert it from minutes to seconds and add that in there. And do the same thing for all of them. You know, so if you put 3 songs in there, make sure you do that. If not, you could remove a line. You could, you know, remove one of these, and you can alter this however you want. So that's totally up to you. Anyway, so that's that for these. This is 3 different ways here to make your audio Easter egg. Now, for where you place your threads, so up here you'll see the first thing I got is thread spaghetti. So you would put that underneath of this somewhere. As long as it's within the main function underneath of that, it should be fine. So you can thread it under here, just, you know, make a, you know, hit enter, make a couple spaces, and then just add it in here somewhere. So you have to thread it first, obviously. I'd hope you know a little bit about code. I shouldn't really have to explain that too much, but just in case for newcomers, that's what you have to do it up there. And then you call the, you are basically defining the function down here. So you define your function, and then, yeah, that's pretty much it. This function here handles all the other functions, so you don't have to worry about that. So yeah, that's 3 different ways to do the audio Easter egg. Now for the final thing you need to do now is with launcher, what I was talking about earlier. You're going to want to compile your map. So make sure that whenever you compile your map, that your map is actually selected, because sometimes it does this stupid humor shit and I don't find nothing funny about it. So, you know, yeah, just make sure it actually selected your map, because it'll fuck your map up if you click this and compile it as, like, say, what it usually defaults to is this fucking humor bullshit that I don't find funny. Then it'll just basically break your map. So then you'll have to make sure that you come back through and recompile it properly, and it should fix it. So compile your map, compile your patch. Come over here, make sure that, like I said earlier, you have all this set up, and that you have your audio file selected. Um, Now, as you can see here, I have two different audio aliases set up. You could do as many as you want, and well, until the game crashes. Because if you have too many audio files in a map, it'll eventually just reach a point where it's taking up. It's going past the space limitation for the map, or for I guess the stuff you could have in the map, and it'll just start crashing. So then you'll have to start removing stuff. But so now that you're onto this part, you compile your sound, or you build your sounds, uncheck that, then compile your scripts, and then you could come over here and you can uh, run your map. So you'd select your map. If you hand coded it and you didn't do it like I did, or you didn't copy and paste, I should say, good job, by the way. If you did do that, then you might want to set this developer give debug bullshit to 1. So then if you get a script compile error, it'll tell you like where it is. It'll give you an example. It'll give you the line that it's at. It'll say like, undeclared variable or something like that, and it'll give you the variable name and all that stuff. So it'll help you out a little bit more if you do it that way, but you don't necessarily have to do that. If you know your code's fine, just make sure you look over it real good and make sure that you didn't make any mistakes or like forget a semicolon or something. You should be fine then. So that brings me to the end of this. I hope that this helped you guys, and I appreciate you watching. So thank you, and I'll leave you with a demonstration of my of the multi-song egg in action. And I had to do this video again because of copyright claim, so I used YouTube friendly music for this. So I'll leave you to the demonstration now. Thank you.